Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I am Evil Mike, and this is going to be my review on DC's Nightwing issue number 85. This is directly one of the tie-ins to the Fear State, arc that is going on presently within Batman. And if you're not up to date on Nightwing, first off, I highly suggest you go read it. It's great. It's probably one of my top favorite DC books right now. And what another fine addition to this series, because this book is amazing. Not only that, but it does have a first appearance of a new villain that they've been setting up. So let's get into all this goodness. First off, we got the writer is Tom Taylor. We got the art by Robbi Rodriguez. We got colors by Adriano Lucas and letters by Wes Abbott. For those of you who are not up to date on what's going on in Nightwing, currently, he inherited the kind of mega millions, I wouldn't say billions, but mega millions from Alfred. He has finally decided what he is going to do, and he is going to create Bloodhaven into this kind of, kind of free living utopia where rent and bills are not needed anymore. They haven't really gone into that because as soon as he did this, he got a call from Barbara, stating that she needed help. It was from her Oracle form, but we all know that it was not Oracle, that it was someone that hacked into her system, and now we know that it's Seer, and with the moral authority or also on a side note that there is the whole addition to Nightwing having a sister, but this issue doesn't really delve into that, because the last issue Nightwing took off to go see what was up with Barbara, getting that the message that it summoned all the Bat family back to the clock tower where Oracle resides. The issue starts out and Barbara and Nightwing are already catching up with one another. There is a message that Barbara, Batgirl, she does send out to everybody that is associated with the Oracle, and they go into like the Bat family, they go into like Green Arrow and Black Canary and Wonder Woman and different elements in the DC universe, right? Basically stating that the Oracle was hacked, and until further notice, don't pay any attention to anything that the Oracle might tell you, type thing. So while they're doing that, we see Seer, and she appears in hologram form in the clock tower, and she's basically stating, like, no matter what Batgirl does or what Nightwing does, like, she's basically taken over the whole Oracle mainframe, and that includes like every camera and everything that's connected to the Oracle program. At that point, there's a whole lot of taunts and this and that, like, you're never gonna find me, kind of thing from the Seer. But basically Batgirl starts initiating her plan that she kind of mentioned before within the books of Batman, stating that she has a backup for the Oracle program in case this ever happens. So her and Dick basically start destroying everything in the clock tower. The Seer stating that they don't need to do that, but they go ahead and do it anyways, and plus that it gets rid of the hologram of Seer. Basically at that point, after that happens, they kind of do this like flashback thing where it's like it goes back to the earlier days of Batgirl and Dick Grayson as Robin. And it kind of highlights like their funner times and more happier times, without Bruce and this and that, when they would go on their their scouts of the city and stuff like that. And then it kind of jumps back into present day, because of course that's exactly what they're doing, is they're going on their own mission without Bruce being there, because he's tied up with Scarecrow and all that mess. So basically they jump back into it, and Barbara is really trying to relay the message to Dick how integrated Oracle is into the information highway, and how it has control of all these cameras, and the question of like privacy and that kind of stuff goes up in the conversation between Barbara and Nightwing, and basically Barbara stating that, you know, she kind of justified it because like she felt like she was doing good thing, even though it was like a very evasive, you know, in the privacy parts. So they finally do make it to the place where the backup, you know, where she has the backup system for the Oracle. You know, and like there's a whole bunch of magistrate, you know, they don't know how they're going to get there without being seen, and by this point, you know, Barbara has stated many times that the seer already knows where they are, and the seer doesn't even have to do anything because there's all these like face recognition and gauge recognition and all this stuff that's built into the Oracle program. They do go in there like using heavy smoke and stuff like that, and they take out all the magistrate forces that are like kind of guarding the entrance. And when they make it inside, of course it's a trap set up by the seer, but the fear toxin gas, whatever you want to call it, instantly goes off the second they enter the compound, and they are both encompassed with the fear gas. And basically we only see Barbara's side of the story, but when they walk in, Barbara starts feeling weird, and then she turns around and a magistrate soldier is running towards Dick, and he ends up shooting Dick in the head, killing him instantly. Barbara, seeing this, she goes into a rage and starts beating the hell out of the magistrate soldier that killed Nightwing. Within this whole, you know, ordeal, you know, the magistrate officer or whatever, you know, is basically trying to fight off Barbara, but you get the sense that it's somebody other than the magistrate officer. And eventually, as she's attacking this magistrate officer, she gets a gas mask that's placed over her face, and she snaps out of the fear toxin, you know, hallucination that she was going through. And it's basically Tim Drake as Robin that shows up and saves both of them, stating that the seer, you know, had the place set up and booby-trapped with the gas and stuff like that. Robin states that, you know, you need to forget anything you've seen. It was all hallucination. That, you know, the mixture of chemicals that he's pumping in Nightwing and Batwing is supposed to, like, you know, take away the toxin effects and stuff like that. At that moment, the seer kind of, you know, pops on these screens because you know, they're there with the backup program and everything, and Seer's like, okay, we'll go ahead and destroy everything, and Barbara's like, oh wait, I gotta do one thing real quick. And Seer's like, well, I mean, there's only one thing to just do, is destroy it. You can't really do anything else. And you know, with the flickety of the super tech that Barbara is, she actually has figured out a way to figure out where Seer is. She like recalculates the camera, you know, feed or something like that, how Seer is you know, projecting her holograms and integrating the Oracle thing, because she is back during the Oracle. Like Barbara states that she set up this kind of link on this system, you know, in case this ever happened, to not only see who is like hacking into the system, but maybe, you know, hop into their system. Seer immediately is like, oh, well, I mean, that's not going to help you anyways, because I've already thought of that and blocked, you know, with the firewall, I've already blocked, you know, your entrance into my system. But there is one thing that Seer doesn't calculate on, and really it's that basically Batgirl activates the camera, and before the Seer can eliminate the camera, you know, viewing part, Barbara gets the background from where Seer is looking at and deduces that the Seer is up in the magistrate like headquarters. It's like this floating, you know, tower that's in the city. So now they know where the seer is, and basically Nightwing and Barbara are going after the seer. When Barbara does finally see the seer, we do get the physical, because this is the first time in the comics that we've actually seen the seer so far. We've seen like hologram projections of the seer, but they're never of like somebody we know. It's been the Commissioner Gordon, a Batman, a version of Oracle, stuff like that. But this is the first time that you get to see seer up in the magistrate like headquarters or whatever. Excuse me. So that is where the issue leaves off, is basically but no, it doesn't, because as soon as they start going to see the seer up in the towers, the seer does tell them that she left a surprise in the clock tower, and she also mentions that she reached out to some of the other Bat family members that were already heading to the clock tower to begin with. And we already know from the last issue in Batman 115 with the side story with Batgirl, with Cassandra Cain as Batgirl and Stephanie Brown as Spoiler, that they were on their way to the clock tower. And basically the seer explained there's a bomb there, and as soon as Cassidy and Stephanie enters the building, it goes off. And the very last thing that we see in this issue is Barbara and I think his name is Red Robin, but Tim Drake, and then we see Nightwing running, to go try to get to the clock tower, and explodes, and that's where the real issue leaves off. But there is it does tell you that this will be continued in I think it is Batman 116 in the Batgirl storyline is where this is going to pick up. So we're going to have to find out if, Stephanie and Cassandra Cain did die. And I can tell you they didn't, because they're getting their own solo series. So I hope I'm not wrong, but, that would suck, because I love Cassandra and Stephanie Brown. But overall, I can say this issue was stellar. Like the whole hallucination scene with Barbara seeing Dick, die, the whole explosion thing at the end with the seer and everything. Getting to see the seer. The seer is actually pretty cool looking. I don't know, man. I have really loved the past, I want to say 8 issues of Nightwing, and it's been really interesting and engaging. And I mean, the art is probably some of the best in DC Comics, in my opinion. I would have to say a second close would be Jorge Menez and Batman. I mean, but again, I'm not reading everything in DC either. But there's a lot of good art in DC overall. But this is my review. I got the hiccups for some reason. But like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought, and I will see y'all guys later.
Bye.